Hi, Melanie here from Balloon Artworks, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a life-size bride. We're going to begin by taking an 11-inch blush and turning it inside out. So I find it easier to do that with the help of a chopstick. Okay. And then you're going to take a blush 12-inch quick link and we're going to insert the 11-inch inside. And the reason for turning it inside out is because the inside of the balloons, they have this slight powder coating to sort of reduce the friction of the balloons rubbing together. And so when we're doing distortion work, quite often I like to just turn them inside out so that the powder coated sides are the ones that are going to rub against each other. And then what you need to do is inflate the outer balloon, and you can do that with a hand pump just by inserting the nozzle in between the two balloons, or you could do it with an electric pump, which is what I'm going to do. I've got my dinky electric pump here. It's just one of the ones that I have, the inflator that I have, and I like to use this basic pump. Just going to have to put the 11-inch back in there. I like to use this basic pump for this job and also for inflating 3-foots. So you just want to put some air into your 12-inch quick link, and then taking your hand pump, insert the nozzle, the tip into the nozzle of the 11-inch round, and then we're going to inflate and tie off your 11-inch. I think that was about 14 strokes of the hand pump. Being careful not to trap the nozzle of the quick link when you tie. Just pull that tight, and then you can trim off the nozzle of your 11-inch. Okay, and that's what you've got. Next, we're going to take a bit of 260, and we want to create a very small bubble for the nose. So that is perhaps about 2 fingers, and we're going to pinch twist that. And then we can break this off. Take our 260 and make a pinch twist of perhaps 2.5 fingers, slightly bigger than the pinch twist we made for the nose, and then break the rest off. We're going to take that small pinch twist and we're going to insert it here inside the nozzle of the 11-inch. Okay, so it's just sitting there inside the neck. So we're going to take our hand pump, put some air into that 12-inch quick link, and that releases your little pinch twist into the balloon. And then what we want to do is just kind of nudge it up to the area where the nose should be. Okay, and then we want to take our slightly larger pinch twist and do the same. Put it inside the neck. If it will go, just stretch that neck out. There we go. And then we want to put a bit of air in. And this gives a little bit of a chin. You might want to adjust that slightly, so just move it and nudge it around until you get a position that you like. Next, you're going to need a couple of 5-inch rounds in the colour of your choice. I'm using Pearl Ivory, and we just want to put one puff of air into the balloon, tie it off, and then split that balloon in half. And if you need to, just wrap that nozzle around a little bit, hold it, take a second 5-inch, and you just want to wrap those two together. So you're making a little cluster of 4. Okay, and we want to take the head and the nozzle of the quick link, pull that through and just wrap it in. Is take a 260, wrap that into the clusters there. My bride has a sort of shoulder length hair, I would say. So I'm going to give that a squeeze and then bring that up to the tip of the quick link and just wrap it in there. Put a pinch twist in there, make a bubble, pinch twist it. Bring that back down to the neck and twist it off. Wrap it into that cluster at the neck. Okay, and we're going to do that, go up and down a few more times until we fill the back of the neck, the head. I'm going to just leave this here for the moment and see if I need it for anything. Wrap your nozzle in there. And then I want to just bring this round and back. Just trying to work out how long to make the fringe. It's probably about there. So I'm going to snip off the end, tie there. I'm going to bring that under there. I'm going to need a little bit of a longer length to secure that fringe in position. So I'm just going to take a 260 and I'm going to tie it onto the end there. Tie that twice. Pull that through and down into the neck. So that just gives us a bit of tension there to secure that fringe. Tie a bit of a longer scrap to the end there. Okay, so there we have a fringe. Next, we're going to start to make the bride's body, and for this you're going to need a stand, a base, and I use the IKEA knot stands. So we've got this as the base, and the stands come with 4 bits of pipe like this. We're going to be using 3 of them. I have taped the joints together using electrical tape. And I'm now going to wrap the pole with a white 260. So we wrap the pole in the same direction as the poles connect together. So this is quite hard doing this way. I would normally sort of balance it on something rather than sort of have it waving around in mid-air. But once you've got started, just wrap the pole, wrap it round, and we're just trying to cover most of the black. I've got a little space there of black showing, that's not going to matter. So we'll try and cover as much of it as possible. Just keep going. I'm probably going to need another 260 to complete the pole. And then as you get to the end of your balloon, just snip off the end and tie it around the pole like that. Okay, and then get another white 260 with a bit of air in and just continue until you finish wrapping the pole. So we're going to start to construct the skirt for the bride's dress, and at this point I've switched to my premium twin air inflator. I've got 11-inch white balloons which I'm going to inflate to about 8 inches, which is 4.5 on my digital setting. I'm doing clusters of 5, and I'm going to just wrap those around the base. Okay, and I'm gradually going to build that up, graduating smaller and smaller balloons as I go up. So I'm going to gradually reduce the sizes of the balloons that I'm using, probably in about 1/2 inch increments, and I will put the actual sizes that I use for the skirt on the screen. Of course, what I should have mentioned is do put a little cap on the metal bit here, so I'm just going to cover that with an 11-inch. It is easier if you remember to do it before now, but you know, it's not critical. The important thing is that you do it at some point, so that's covered. And one thing I do like to do is just take a 160 and just wrap that around top tier, figure it 8 a few times, and then around the tier below, just to secure the top tier position, as you would a topper. And to create the torso, we're going to use a heart balloon. I'm using a Grabo balloon. This is the smaller one. I can't remember what size it is. I don't use a lot of them, but it is the smaller one of the Grabo heart-shaped balloons, and it purports to be ivory. It kind of has a greeny cast to my eye. but this is what we're going with. So just pull that going into your cluster tightly and wrap around. At this point, I'm just going to take my head and check that I've got the height approximately right, and she is at about the height marker that I've got for my bride. So she's about the right height at 5'3". At this point, I'm just going to take my head and check that I've got the height approximately right, and she is at about the height marker that I've got for my bride. So she's about the right height at 5'3". Okay, so next we want to create some attachment points on our Grabo balloon. And I do find with these Grabos that they're not always that receptive to having something like stretchy balloon tape attached to them. So what I do is, just to create more of a better adhesion, I get some acetone nail polish remover, which I put onto a little cotton wool pad, and then wherever I want to make my attachment, I just use that to remove some of the ink. You have to do it quite carefully. Hopefully you can see that that's taking off the ink. Next we're going to make the attachment points at the neck and shoulders, and I use the Click Click stretchy balloon tape for this. You may prefer to use something else, but this is my preferred tape for this purpose. And you're going to need half a 160. You're going to need 3 of those. And your tape, and we're just going to put the 160 top there, and then we're going to put a bit of tape over that to secure it into position, and then we're going to put another piece of tape that goes in the opposite direction. So you're forming a cross with the tape, and you've got your 160 there. And the longer you can give this tape to adhere, the better. And then we're going to do the same at the shoulders, at the points where we have removed the ink from the foil balloon. You don't need to do this with all foils, just depends what colour you've used, what make of balloon you've used. And again, a second piece of tape. So next we're going to get our large piece of tulle, and we're going to arrange it on the body before we attach the head and the arms. And this is the type of tulle that I use. It's actually manufactured by Oak Tree in the UK, www.oaktreeuk.com. I'm sure there are alternatives available elsewhere in the world, but you're looking for a 3 metre by 3 metre square piece of tulle, and this is colour fast and fire retardant as well, which is very important. So it's important that you get your tulle from a reputable supplier. And what we need to do is find the centre point, or very approximate centre point. So we fold it in half, find my way inside to this point, and place that over our bride's torso. Okay, now I do appreciate that you can't see all the way to the floor here, but that is now touching the floor on all sides. Next we're going to make the shoulders, the tops of the sleeves and our bride's arms. So take a 5-inch round and put one stroke of the hand pump of air into the balloon, tie a soft knot and roll the knot as high up on the nozzle as you possibly can. Take a 260. Doesn't really matter how much you inflate it, we're not going to use all of it. Put the nozzles together, push the air towards the nozzle, put the nozzles together and push those nozzles through to the other side of the balloon. Grab hold of those nozzles and twist round, and then take a bit of a scrap of 160 and wrap that around those knots that you've got hold of a few times, and then tie. Pull those tight. Once you've done that, tie again. If you've got a slight wrinkling there, just squeeze the air, press it down there, just massage it until you're happy with how that looks. And make another one of those. When you've done that, to take one of your arms and you just want to use your little bit of 160 to tie those arms in position. And I like to use both sets of tails, the 160 tails, just for added security. And next we're just going to cut a little hole in the tulle at the neck and do the same thing, just pull those attachment points through. And then we're going to take our bride's head and we're going to pull those attachment points through into that cluster of 5-inch rounds. Okay, the next thing is to cinch the tulle in at the waist, which I do with a clear 160. And we'll just tie that to one side slightly. Bring them together, front, wrap them round. Make two little hands, just flower petal loops. And then just tie these together. So I've drawn our bride's face. If you want to learn how to draw faces, then you need to have a look at Shayna Brennan's excellent Making Faces video. Shayna from Nifty Balloons, and I'll include that information on the screen. I'm now adding some little extra elements. So I've got some ribbon ready, long length of ribbon to tie around the waist. And I've got a nice artificial rose, and I'm just going to attach that. So I'm literally taking a 160 and just wrapping that very tightly around that little bit of stem that's sticking out. Okay, and then I'm going to tie that again. I'm going to wrap in this flower, secure that into position, and this is just going to sort of go at her waist. So I'm going to tie that flower in just to be on the safe side. I don't want things dropping off. Just cut off the ends. And then I'm just going to take the strap of 160 that I used to just cinch in the fabric at the waist, and I'm just going to wrap that around that little cluster. Bring it. Just going to wrap that in there, and then I think I will tie that into a bow. So our bride is almost finished. I've given her a little bag made out of tulle, and I'm going to make some pom-poms for her shoulders just to disguise the area where we removed the paint from the heart balloon. So here we are on site with our bride and groom. Unfortunately, I've managed to not plug the microphone in properly, so I'll try and voice over what I was trying to describe to you. So our bride's in position. I've added a few extra details. So the pom-poms at the shoulders, and I've just tied those in using the attachment points that I left, and then I've trimmed everything off towards the end. We've got her little handbag, and our lovely bride is wearing a pair of glasses. And what I've done, I have used a pair of sunglasses. I've just removed the lenses, and I've used some little diamante sparkles and stuck them the sides of the sunglasses, and they look pretty much like the glasses that our bride wears. When I put the glasses on the bride's head, they did cause the head to drop down slightly, and so what I've done, I've used a little bit of clear monofilament fishing line, which I've wrapped around those clusters at the neck, and I've pulled that back and behind the bride's back and secured that fishing line into the clusters of 5-inch balloons at the waist, and that's just brought the chin up slightly, the head back, and the head can now bear the weight and support the weight of those glasses. So I hope you like this video. I'd love to see what you come up with, your versions of our bride, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.